FBI! FBI! Give it up!
Just before 3 a.m., a man rushes inside as a SWAT team rolls up. Their armored vehicle's tactical battering ram busting open the door and breaking the early morning silence.
Okay, so the FBI just raided Whoopi Goldberg's mansion, and the details are starting to come out. Let's get into it because this is where things get real. It was late at night, and most people in the neighborhood were sleeping when it all went down. Out of nowhere, the quiet street lit up with headlights and the sound of screeching tires. Black SUVs with tinted windows pulled up, lining the road in front of Whoopi's massive mansion. Agents in full gear stepped out, wasting no time. The officers fanned out across the property, setting up a perimeter while others moved toward the front. So picture this. The doorbell rings, and Whoopi answers. But here's the thing. Whoopi wasn't surprised. She looked calm, almost too calm. An agent at the front flashed his badge. "We have a search warrant. This is a federal investigation." Whoopi's expression shifted, just for a moment, like a flicker of understanding crossed her face. She didn't even ask why they were there, almost as if she already had an idea of what this was about. But even then, there was a hint of confusion in her eyes, like she couldn't quite figure out how things had escalated to this point. That calm attitude didn't last long once the officers started moving through the house. They weren't subtle. Drawers were yanked open, cushions flipped, paintings checked for hidden compartments. Whoopi stood quietly to the side, arms crossed, watching everything unfold. She didn't say much, but you could almost see the wheels turning in her head. If she was scared, she was doing a good job hiding it. But when the agents made their way downstairs toward the basement, that's when things took a turn. One of the agents noticed something odd about a bookshelf. It looked normal enough, but when they pushed on it, a hidden panel slid open. After a bit of effort, they managed to move the shelf aside, revealing a faint outline of a door. If you know anything about FBI raids, this is exactly the kind of thing they're looking for. One agent immediately called the head officer. Whatever was behind that hidden door, it was important enough that they didn't even want to open it on sight. When they finally pulled out a small, unmarked box, Whoopi's eyes widened for just a moment. "I've never seen that before," she said, but her expression told a different story. "I mean, come on. How do you not know about a secret compartment hidden behind a bookshelf in your own basement?" Either Whoopi was genuinely clueless, or she was trying very hard to look innocent.
I would be surprised if, at the end of the day, we learned this was simply an effort by the FBI to retrieve records. There probably is something much more significant there.
All right, so let's dive into what the feds actually found, because this is where things take a seriously dark turn. After they took that metal box to the lab, leaks started pouring out almost immediately. According to insiders, when they cracked it open, what they uncovered was more than just a little alarming. Inside was a stash of sensitive material, and not the kind of stuff you'd expect. We're talking about images, not just ordinary photos either. Sources say these were pictures of high-profile celebrities and politicians, caught in extremely private situations. The kind of photos that could ruin lives if they ever saw the light of day. But that wasn't all. There were documents, paper trails that traced money through offshore accounts, and shady financial deals. Some of those accounts were tied to organizations flagged for suspicious activity, with transactions hinting at ties to underground networks. Then came the kicker. A separate book filled with names, big names. Names that made people question what exactly Whoopi was mixed up in. And that's when things got even darker. Whispers started swirling about an illegal human transportation ring operating in Hollywood. Some of the organizations linked to those offshore accounts had been investigated before for involvement in these illegal activities. Naturally, the question arose, was Whoopi connected to these people? Why would this kind of stuff be hidden in her house if she had nothing to do with it? You don't just accidentally stumble upon documents linking Hollywood elites to criminal networks. Some believe Whoopi had dirt on powerful people and that the raid was about silencing her. But here's the thing. The FBI doesn't show up on a whim. They had real intel, and the fact that agents whisked that box away so fast, rushing it straight to a lab, yeah, they knew exactly what they were looking for.
She's also been keeping a low profile today after federal agents were inside her house.
Whoopi had no choice but to speak out, and she didn't waste any time. Just days after the raid, she showed up on The View like clockwork, ready to face the cameras. Right at the top of the show, she addressed the elephant in the room. "I know what you've heard, but I have nothing to hide." She claimed the raid was a huge mistake and insisted the FBI had it all wrong. According to Whoopi, that safe and everything inside it wasn't hers. She even floated the idea that someone planted the evidence to frame her. Her lawyer backed her up, releasing a statement saying, "Miss Goldberg denies all involvement and has been fully cooperative with authorities. She expects to be cleared of any wrongdoing." But let's be real, claiming you're innocent doesn't prove you're innocent, especially when there's a metal box filled with evidence suggesting Whoopi had connections to some pretty shady Hollywood figures. The FBI still hasn't made an official statement, but insiders say this is just the beginning of something much bigger. Whoopi tried to get ahead of the story, but at this point, things were already spiraling out of her control, and the feds clearly weren't done digging.
I'm getting off today because I just feel like, it's so messy, and I'm tired of now having had certain kinds of attitudes blocked, and now they're back on. And I'm gonna get out, and if it settles down and I feel more comfortable, maybe I'll come back. But as of tonight...
After Whoopi's explosive statement on The View, you'd think things would start calming down. But nope, the investigation only heated up. And the deeper the FBI dug, the clearer it became that this wasn't just about Whoopi. This was part of something much bigger. Leaked reports started circulating, and let's just say, what came out was jaw-dropping. Insiders revealed that some names found in that secret box had direct ties to major Hollywood elites, names like Jeffrey Epstein and music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. These men had already been linked to illegal operations, but finding their names connected to Whoopi's financial records, that raised massive red flags. And it didn't stop there. Investigators traced several offshore accounts straight to major political players, senators, lobbyists, even former White House officials. Why would a Hollywood actress have financial connections to Washington insiders? That's what made this whole situation even more suspicious. Then came the real bombshell. Whispers began spreading that Whoopi might have unknowingly funded some of these operations. Reports claimed that large sums of money flowed through shell companies linked to Whoopi's business empire, with those funds eventually landing in the hands of organizations known for money laundering. Naturally, Whoopi's legal team denied any knowledge of these transactions, blaming her business managers for handling all financial affairs. But come on, how do you not notice millions of dollars moving through offshore accounts tied to shady dealings? That's what made people start questioning her innocence. And just when things couldn't get any darker, one of Whoopi's closest business partners was arrested. The feds alleged this partner had been running a massive human trafficking ring, using business accounts to launder dirty money. And guess what? Some of those same accounts were directly linked to Whoopi's financial records. Here's the kicker. This partner also managed some of Whoopi's ventures, meaning it's possible she was in the dark while her funds were being funneled into these illegal activities. But at the same time, her name was all over those financial statements. And that's not something you can just brush off.
Came very, very close to leaving the earth. Good news, I didn't.
Whoopi didn't face the FBI alone. Her legal team flanked her, whispering urgent advice as cameras flashed outside. No statements, no explanations. Just listen. It was clear they were trying to shield her from saying anything that could seal her fate. But let's not ignore the bigger picture. If the FBI wanted to question her, they believed she knew more than she was letting on. As the interrogation unfolded behind closed doors, the media went into a frenzy. Some outlets flat out accused Whoopi of being part of the dark web of crime unraveling before the public's eyes. And the question that lingered over everything, did Whoopi know the truth? If her partner had been running a sinister operation, funneling money through her accounts, how could she not notice? The investigation is far from over. Each new revelation drags more names into the light. And as things stand, the truth is only getting darker. What do you think? Is Whoopi innocent, or has she been hiding something all along? Share your thoughts below, and stay tuned for what promises to be an explosive conclusion.